So I don't know if you could see the extra red light on the solar charger, but we're suffering from frozen batteries today. Even though we've got some sunshine, it's still bitterly cold. I don't really think it's got up about freezing in the shade today. So batteries are frozen, so not going to be doing much charging today, unfortunately. But the floor is getting progressively more floor-like. So we've got painting on the bottom, of course, and then I've put the battens across, the stringers across this way, battens across that way, leveled it all up to the existing floor underneath the lino, and then I've got some 5mm ply that's going to go across the top of that, and then the new lino will go across as well. And of course, just in this area here, I'm going to raise that up at the same time so that we can finish that all off. Want a damn good clean in here. Need to reorganize a few bits and pieces. And so Wednesday, I think, what is today? Today's Monday. So Wednesday we've got rain coming in. Temperatures are going up to about 10 or 11 degrees. So before I finish off this piece up here and get the cabinet back in, I'm just going to just double check we haven't got any problems with any water up there coming through. Fairly certain we won't. But belt and braces just make sure. So yeah, that's the next job, and so get this place cleaned up a little bit. Right, I shall see you once the floor is back down. So whilst I was working on the floor, that bit over there, I've now found another leak. So this wood here was completely soaking underneath the floor, so I've pulled that out, a piece of rotten insulation that is actually going straight outside there, or you can just see the ground underneath it. So that's still a bit solid there, so I've got to put another piece of wood in here and then more insulation, and then replace the flooring top piece here. But I'm going to cut all of this out along here so that we've got a complete section to do. This has dried out over the last 24 hours. It's just beginning to rain now, of course, but these corners, because it rained last night, is obviously where the water's coming in. So I've got a piece here and a piece here, so it's obviously the door frame. So at the moment I've just resealed this edge here, and I'm going to just run it all the way around, up over and around the door. So obviously the seal behind this trim, I think, has deteriorated. So that's allowing water to come in down the bottom here, and then that has soaked all of this wood and pieces here. So let all this dry out and just make sure that this piece of sealant here is doing the job. It's still wet. And then just reseal the whole of the door frame. And then we're going to just replace the wood here. And no, that piece of wood's fine. I'm just going to cover it in some stain protection. But the rest of this is all going to be replaced. So I'm going to go and get my cutting wheel, trim off that piece of wood so that we've got a clear piece to work from. So yeah, we'll see how that all comes together. Right, see you shortly. Okay, so this is the first board in place. Oops, it's still sticky. So that's glued and screwed. So that's nice and solid. I've treated this with the stain. That's what I'm using, by the way. I don't know if I showed it earlier on. So anyway, that's the first piece in. And then I've got the bottom of the door here, which is going to fit in here. But we'll wait for all of that to dry off before that goes in. And I'm just going to go and measure up this next piece, which is going to fill out that piece and to go across to the toilet or shower room. So I'll just cut some pieces for that, and we should be able to get this floor finished fairly shortly. So let's see how we get on. Okay, so that's most of the floor done now, screwed and glued using some. I had this in the garage. I don't know if it's any good. Evo stick all-weather adhesive. So anyway, that's glued down. I've also put some strips down in here now for the shower, so coming out of the shower it's nicely supported. So I've got a cover piece to do over with 5mm ply over here, cut that to shape, finish that off, and that should be that for the floor. Then I've got one small piece here underneath the fridge just to patch in, but yeah, it's looking okay now, and definitely a lot more solid than it was before. So we'll see what that looks like when the vinyl goes down. A little bit of just fettling of the edges just to make sure it all goes down smoothly. But yeah, apart from that, I think the floor is going to be pretty much done by tomorrow. So I'll show you the finished results when I've cleaned up. See you soon. Okay, that's the last piece. Just going down now, just giving it a coat of preservative, and just about to glue and screw. So that's all done then. And I've got a couple of transition pieces to run along this edge because it's not quite level with this floor, but it is level over, where are we, over here. So the floor's not quite square. So once this is all screwed down, I've just got to put a couple of transition pieces there, a little bit of 5mm going down to 1mm, just to level it off so that the new vinyl won't have steps in it. So I'll just finish that off, and that's the floor done. All right, see you soon. So just a little bit more work on the combined DC-DC and solar charger. One of the options it has is a remote control, and I was going to wire a switch through to the dashboard so that I could switch it on and off, specifically when it's drawing current from the alternator. Because I've only got a 55 amp alternator on this vehicle, because it was built in 1983, I don't want it trying to pull large numbers of amps from it when the engine's idling, because that'll basically just overheat the alternator, burn it out. So rather than wiring a switch through, I now have one of these, and two of these actually, one which I'm going to keep here and one which is going to be on the dashboard. And this allows me to switch it on and off remotely. It's just a simple little switch, courtesy of Temu. I think it was about €4 or €5, if that. So that will just mount up on the side here. It takes a 12-volt feed and a ground, which will come from the fuse panel, because I've got plenty of space on there for a little fuse. And that will enable me to switch the controller on and off from the driving position. So once I'm on a fast road, I can switch it back on. It'll start DC charging with the alternator spinning fast enough to be able to draw the current quite happily. And if I get caught in traffic, or I'm just sitting there with the engine idling, I can just switch it off to protect the alternator. Just a nice little way of being able to make sure that everything runs okay. So just going to get this wired up now and plugged in, and we'll just give it a check. Right, back in a second. Okay, we have a slight problem. So I've put the new piece of pipe in for the pump, and there was some old stagnant water in the water tank, and it doesn't have an empty point. So I thought, well, I'll just switch on the pump and we'll empty the water, and then I can clean it all out. So good. So I start doing the water, and there's very little water pressure. And then I look down at this pipe down here, which was this one. And this piece of piece of conduit down here is pushing water out like there's no tomorrow. I'm thinking, oh dear, what's going on here? So anyway, that conduit and that copper pipe runs underneath the floor, between the wooden floor and the metal floor underneath, and you can see it down there. You can also see the condition it's in. Ah, no. Anyway, there is obviously a leak, and it's cracked somewhere. Probably it's had water left in it and the frost has caught it, something like that. I don't know. I'm hoping, all the hope in the world, that it's actually down at this end, which is going to be the coldest end, if you understand what I mean. in order to get to it, I'm going to have to cut away a piece of this floor. I hope to God I'm not going to have to cut a whole channel all the way across. But I'm hoping I can actually find where the split is in the pipe and then use the ordinary reinforced pipe to fix it rather than pulling the whole lot out. And then I'm going to push some sort of oil or whatever down the conduit, which is just this piece of hard conduit here, in order to prevent any further corrosion of the copper pipe, because it's definitely green down there. Oh, what a nightmare. Anyway, I was hoping that didn't have to happen, but it did, so let's get on and fix it. Well, unfortunately, I've managed to cut the pipe off there, and I've plugged the end of it and blown back through the other end of the pipe here, and it's still leaking. So unfortunately, it's either down here, which would be very unfortunate, or it's somewhere along here. I think the best thing for me to do is cut a channel down here, pull the pipe through, and then just use the reinforced pipe. I've checked the hot water, that's perfectly okay. It's only the cold water here. I could have done without this. Never mind, let's crack on. Okay, so just cutting out the channel, and that's going to have to go a bit deeper yet to get the other bits done. But yeah, let's keep digging away and see what we find. I would say I was pretty accurate with that, actually. There is the conduit running down the bottom. Just got to finish off this piece here. Looking a bit, maybe it's had a bit of damp in it in the past, but that may just be from the sink. Anyway, I'll dig this all out now and see what we can find. Right, I managed to get it out of its pipe work. There's the pipe. I don't think I'd ever have had a chance to repair this, because just take a look. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there was one at the end. So 5 holes on that side, and there's any on this side. No, yeah, a couple of just start. You know, well, just starting the. Oh, there's one, a big one at the bottom as well. It's a completely rotten piece of copper pipe. Whoever thought of putting copper pipe into a motorhome? But then again, 42 years ago, I didn't really know much better. Anyway, I've now got a big hole in the floor, but at least I can run some reinforced pipe, and I'm going to do the same for the hot water. I know the hot water's not leaking, but now I've got access to it, I might just as well. And then I've also got to repair the floor. Fortunately, the vinyl's not down, so it's not too bad a job. But anyway, yeah, that's what 42 years of sitting in water no doubt has. But better to replace it now than later on. Right, I think that'll do it for this, and I'm going to have to order some more pipe, the reinforced pipe, so I'll get that on order, and then we'll see what's next. All right, see you soon. Thanks a lot for watching.